Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be all about the Vector E-Dock Contour. So if you're unfamiliar with what the Vector E-Dock Contour is, essentially it's a mounting platform for, this in particular is for our Jeep Gladiator. They make them for various other vehicles. Like I know they make stuff for Ford, they make stuff for the Wrangler, they make stuff for Toyotas. They make stuff for a bunch of different vehicles. And we're just putting this one on our Jeep Gladiator. Now, some of you that know us may ask, why are you putting this in your Jeep when you have one already, don't you? And the answer to that is yes. We have the Vector E-Dock, but it's not the Contour. So the E-Dock, you guys have seen this already. It's a tube, essentially, that goes across the dash and gives us the ability to mount our phone holder, our GoPro mounts, the iPad mount. We used to use the GMRS radio or microphone mount. It mounts all sorts of things, and what's great is it's steel, so it's magnetic. So like the GoPro mount here, I do that there, it magnetizes to it. So it's kind of nice in that aspect, but the whole purpose of this video is to show you guys the Contour version, because I wanted to try it out because I'm hoping that it will be lower than what the current version that I have now, because the Contour will now mount directly to the dash and it won't stick up as high as our current model. So that's the plan, that's the hope and the goal, and we're gonna get going on this install, take you guys for the ride and see what we come up with. So first off, I had to decide how many mounts I needed for this Contour, because our current system uses a clamp base. And what I mean by the clamp base is these here. Actually, it'd be easier if I just show you. So the clamp style looks like this. There's two screws and these are split into two pieces, and it goes over top of the bar, you screw it together, and then you have a ball base. The new style isn't a clamp because it's not going over a bar. It has a contour, what they call the ball and contour nut. And essentially, that just looks like these. It's kind of hard to see. Let me pop one out of the bag here. Okay, so that's all that it is. It's a little ball. It's got a 1/4-20 threaded stud on the bottom, and then it goes into this little, essentially it's like a little T-nut. It has a little set screw to hold them in place, kind of like you can see here. But these things, I'm pretty sure how it works is we'll unscrew these end caps and then we'll slide the T-nut in, place these wherever we need. It's got a hole in it so you can put an Allen wrench through there or a screwdriver or whatever, tighten them in place when you get them where you like them, and that's that. So this is the Contour bar itself. It comes just as you see it here, and like I said, I had to determine how many of these little balls that I needed. So in my case, I needed 5 of them, I believe was our total. And yeah, let's get started on this install. So first off, this is going to be a little different for somebody who hasn't done one of these installs before already. It's very simple, but it's going to be a little different for somebody that hasn't done one, being that I've already got the plastic trim pieces out of the dash already because of my current setup. So I'm going to start by unscrewing all of these mounts that I have. I'm going to take them all off, and once I get them all off, then we're going to take the Vector bar off, or the Vector E-Dock bar, I should say, off, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like then. So now that we've got all of our device holders off of the little clamp bases, I'm gonna leave all the clamp bases there because, like I said, this is a test for us. Everybody say hi to Aspen.
Yay!
Hi, Bubby. What? This is a test for us to see if we like this better. If we like it better, then obviously it'll stay. If we don't, then we'll pull it back out and we'll put this back in, and it'd be nice to have all of our device holders in place where we like them already. And yes, that windshield is absolutely disgusting. This Jeep needs clean. All right, so now that we've got the device holders off, it's time to unscrew the Vector bar. So I'm gonna go get an Allen wrench as my son is moving all of my settings on my Jeep. I'm gonna go get an Allen wrench, and I think that's all that we need. I think we need one wrench actually to take one nut off, and we should be good. Okay, so number 4 metric Allen wrench fits down in the little screws. So I just got to take that screw. There's one on the other side, and there's 2 here in the middle, which are kind of hard to show, but you can see the carriage bolt right there. I want to take those out, and we'll get this Vector E-Dock out of the Jeep. Now, this is extremely tedious. You can lay the windshield down. It does make the job easier, but I didn't want to have to deal with that, so I'm doing it the hard way. Okay, so I was wrong. You can take the middle pieces out with a Phillips head screwdriver, or I'm gonna say it's probably like a number 6. I'll find out here in just a second. So that's what it looks like. 7mm socket will fit over top of the center little screws. Okay, so now we should have the old Vector bar unattached and ready to pull out. So let's see what it does. And just like that, the old Vector bar is out. Really, really simple. So just to compare one to the other, you can see when these things are, oh, if I can get them on the same surface, how much lower this one should sit. So I'm pretty excited. I know that's not the same comparison because we're not sitting on the same surface, but this should still sit a lot lower. So now, this will mount up there, something like that. But beforehand, I'm gonna clean everything up, clean the dash up, give it a good wash, give it a good wipe down, and then we'll get to doing the install. Okay, so I'm at the point where I'm ready to install the Vector Contour E-Dock, and realistically, I'm gonna just go ahead and lay the windshield down. If you have the Jeep tool, it is the longer, skinny T40, and there's 4 bolts to remove or lay down the windshield. So that way we can have easier access to the mounting screws for the Contour E-Dock. Now, I will put a link to the instruction PDF and video from Vector Offroad. They did a pretty good job on their video on how to install this kit. I'll put it in the description so you guys can see, because I'm not going to lay the windshield fully down. I'm going to hold it back because I've got the KC Flex Air 4 lights on my A-pillar, so I can't lay the windshield all the way down without removing those, and I don't want to remove those, and I don't need a ton of access anyway. Now that we have all the screws out, we can lay the windshield down a little bit and then hold it back. So just like that, the windshield can move there. And I'm going to just, instead of strap it, I'm going to close these, and then as I need access, I will go in there and do that. Okay, so now we have everything out of the Jeep. It took a little longer than expected, but we're ready to get some of this installed. So we're gonna take this little set screw, and it's gonna get threaded into the bottom of the main stud like so. We have to get a little Allen wrench to tighten this thing down, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so for me, it was a 3mm Allen key, and now we're ready to get these placed. So the driver's side, if this is your first time installing one of these, I'll give you a quick rundown on how this works. Once you get the windshield laid down, you're going to take the rubber mat out of the top tray. Once you get it out, you're going to end up cutting the end caps off. Don't worry, you can get more of these if you end up wanting to return it back to factory look or styling, but the brackets are going to end up screwing down into here. So you can't have the rubber mat in there, but you can keep it in the center. There's these two caps here, this one and then this one down here. Just use a little plastic pry tool to remove those. And then there's a little bolt that's down in each one. Use a magnet to get it out. And essentially that's how the stock stuff comes out. Now that I've got the stock stuff out, I'm going to take one of these, put it in on the driver's side, and it's just going to get threaded into the factory hole. Just like so. Now that I've got it in there hand tight, take a 4mm. I'm going to tighten this thing down real snug and see if I can crack the screw, which I did. Don't lose these screws, by the way, down inside your dash like Elizabeth did on her install. These screws can fall easily down into the vents like that. That was close. Okay, now the passenger side's a little different. There's a little spacer that has to go in between the main stud, which is this one here. So now that I got the spacer rectangular or square side is going to go towards the front of the Jeep, and then the long skinny portion will go towards the rear. So we're gonna get that placed. Now they talk about how you can place this down in there and hold this to itself with a piece of masking tape. I'm just going to place it in there. They show it like this. They show you with a piece of masking tape. I'm just gonna place it in here and it'll be good. If you're quick about it, it won't go anywhere. You can get it in a position exactly where you need it. The little spacer just gets this side up level and flush, whereas the driver's side doesn't have that issue. Okay, now that that one's in, same thing as driver's side. I'm gonna tighten that thing up. Nice and snug. Now that's snug, I'm going to take the screw out and then we'll go on to our next step. So we're going to connect the passenger side bracket, which is this piece here. It's going to go in like so, like this. We're going to install that with the M6 screw that came in the standoff. There are 1/4" screws that come with the kit, so don't get them confused. All right, so now that I got that installed, you can see what that looks like. Really simple, really easy. Now we're going to move on to the driver's side. So the driver's side is a simple little bracket like this, little hole on each end, and we're going to do the same thing. I spoke too soon. So the driver's side has a little T-nut that is going to drop in at an angle into the track, and that's what you're going to use to connect on the track side, on the Contour E-Dock side, for the 1/4 screw. Okay, so quick little tip. To be able to get the drop-in anchor T-nut, use just a real small Allen wrench. Once you kind of put it in there at an angle, you can use the Allen wrench and get it inside the hole of the T-nut, the thread, and you can twist it. And then it'll drop down real easy for you. Just quick little tip. So now that we've got the driver's side in here, I've got everything kind of loosely mounted. We're gonna do the center ones. We'll get those kind of placed, and then we'll be just about wrapped up with this install. So how this is gonna work is passenger side is gonna go in there like that. I'm gonna go ahead and get my screw started in here. Little 1/4 screw, just lightly, loosely tighten it. And then we're gonna use our factory screw, which is these little guys here with the Phillips head. And we're gonna screw that into the dash after I find it, and then we'll check back in. Okay, so this is what the driver's side looks like now. 1/4 screw there. The little Phillips screw up there takes number 7 socket. So now the Vector bar is mounted in place. So I'm gonna go ahead, go back through, tighten all of the screws, and then it'll be time to start throwing in our little anchors and get the ball mounts all positioned. Then we can start putting some of the device holders back on. So getting these little ball mounts installed is pretty easy. This is the little anchor. I'm gonna go ahead and take one, place it in here at an angle. Oh, and of course, so another little tip, these little set screws have to be backed out enough to where you can get the anchor in, and they take 2.5 millimeter Allen to loosen up. So once you have them loose, then you can take these, drop it in like that. Once you get it dropped in, just twist that and it drops in. So I got the first one in there now. And now that I've got it in there, you can take the ball that has the stud on it, thread it in there, place it wherever you like. Once you get it tight, you can take your larger Allen wrench, throw it through here, tighten that down, and you'll be good to go. You can use the little set screws and tighten them down if you know exactly where you want these to be, and then you can take the ball out, so that way you don't have to have the ball in there and then the set screw stays in the same place. But for now, I'm not going to tighten the set screw. I'm just going to clamp the balls in place. Once I get them in place, then I'll use the set screw so they don't move at all, and then I'll tighten the ball back in place, and then we should be good. All right, so I'm going to start kind of putting these in place and show you guys what it looks like after we're done. Okay, now that I finally have all of the device holders in place, kind of roughed in where I want them, I've got a few ideas on what I may do to change this, being that I'm using existing things that I've had for the E-Dock, not the E-Dock Contour, and this is what it looks like. So let me give you a quick rundown on what I have, the system that works for me, that I've really liked the past 3.5 years, I think, that I had the regular E-Dock. I got it about 6 months after I got my Jeep. So I've got a bullet point shorty mount. This will lead into something else in a minute, but a bullet point shorty mount using a 67 Designs phone holder, and I really like their phone holders a lot. I'm using the Vector Offroad GoPro mount with a snap mount. If you don't know what snap mounts are, you are really missing out. Snap mounts are these little magnetic mounts that allow me to take my GoPros, if I can get this one unattached. It's a little magnet that attaches my GoPro with the little fingers, right? And then that literally magnetizes to these mounts. So then you can universally flip them around. I'll show you one quick mount real quick for those of you that are like, oh, how strong are they? I'm bouncing around on the trails and snowboarding and whatever, motocross. This right here solves that. I don't know if you can see the little tabs, but you have to put this on sideways. So you put it on sideways, twist. There's no freaking way. There's no way. I think this mount down here will break before this comes off. It is extremely durable and extremely strong. And it's just as easy as you saw me there. Twist counterclockwise, it pulls off. So that's the secure way you can get those mounts on Amazon or Snap Mounts direct. But I have the Hero 10 sitting here up front, just kind of tucked down away, but using the Vector mount. And then same thing here, Vector mount for this one. I'm gonna tuck it down and out of the way, like so, since I'm not using them at the current moment. Now over here, I've got a 67 Designs arm and a Vector Offroad iPad mount or tablet mount. Personally, I think This tablet mount is hands down the best tablet mount on the market. This thing unscrews up here. It's got a little turn dial down here so you can quickly loosen it and tighten it. I mean, I just did that one-handed. And this thing opens up for an iPad Pro 12 inch or 12.9 inch. It's a big iPad. My wife's iPad sits in there horizontally. You can rotate this thing in landscape mode, and you can put it in portrait mode. It's amazing. When we're out running trails, it's so nice to have a big screen so we can see all the trails in real clear, high definition. And it's just really nice. So that, I think, is the best mount that you can have for an iPad or a tablet in general. We've tried a few other ones that we didn't end up working out. They didn't end up working out. So I've got a bunch of these different arms too. So when I say that I'm using a 67 Designs arm and a bullet point arm, there's a bunch of companies that make them. They're all various. They all, they all end up doing the same thing, but they vary slightly. I will say I do prefer the 67 Designs arms because I feel that their clamp onto the ball base is the best clamp that you can get. I've had the Bullet Point and the Bulletproof, same company. Their arms, they don't seem to be as tight. They wear, or within the heat and the cold, expanding and contracting. I think that they loosen up over time, and you have to continuously make sure that they're tight. And I've had some where I've got them completely tight. They will not tighten down anymore, and they still kind of jiggle a little bit. So not saying all of my Bulletproof ones do, only some of them. Now this little shorty by Bulletproof, Bullet Point, I love this thing. So that was leading into my other point of what I may change. What I may change is I'm gonna probably stick with this setup for a little while, but then I'm going to take off these other arms, this iPad arm and the phone arm over there. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put the Bullet Point shorty on here, and I'm gonna see if it works. If it works, then it will drastically clean up and clear up some of this space that this arm takes up, because this arm has to be mounted way over here on the side to be able to get this roughly where we want it for our use in the passenger seat. If I had a shorty, I believe that I could just run this straight out, and then this literally mounts right here in the middle, and you don't have all this extra space being taken up by the arm. Same with over on the end. It's a regular arm. I believe that one is Vector. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's a Vector mount or Vector arm, and then a Bulletproof Bullet Point phone holder. Again, I kind of end up going back to 67 Designs. I like a lot of their stuff. I did have kind of a bad experience with them at one point, so I don't always recommend them based on their customer service, but they do make really good products. Bulletproof does as well. I think that their phone mounts are really good. If I had to compare 67 to Bulletproof phone holders, I would say they're both pretty equal. But the arms and the ball bases, I think 67 Designs probably has a little bit better ball base and clamp arm. But that's just me personally. That's my experience. Maybe not everybody has the same thing. In the back, I do have a Vector Offroad phone mount. This thing is just like the iPad mount and has a little tab back here so you can quickly loosen that up and then, use your device. That thing is really nice. If you're on bouncy trails for a long trip or something like that, that might be the way to go, because then your phone definitely will not move. Downside to it is it's just not as easy as this here, where I just one motion and it's there. That one you have to undo the little tab and it's out, and so it really holds your phone well, but it's a different type of device holder. And then in the back, we've got the GoPro mount, and then on the other side I got another tablet mount for when Aspen gets a little bigger and want to watch shows on an iPad on trips or whatever. But over here on the side, yeah, like I said, Bulletproof mount, Vector mount, GoPro, phone mount, and then we used to have the Midland, it was a Jeep Unique Midland radio, GMRS radio mount that we used to run off here, but now we have the Midland GMRS mount right here. So that works really good for us. So one less thing has to be mounted up here. And I will say, so far, I don't have the windshield laid back yet, so I can't say this definitively, but I think that with nothing up here, or even with things up here, the dash is a lot cleaner. I think my visibility, I'm going to be able to see a lot lower on the hood and lower when we're going down hills and things like that. So I'm going to say this early on, this was a win. We're going to have to see long term if this works out for us. But for now, I'm going to go ahead, lay the windshield back down, get that all bolted back up, see how everything fits with the windshield closed. And then, yeah, like I said, I'm going to probably try the bulletproof mount and see if that ends up working out in the near future, moving it around. If that does work out, then I'll replace these other longer arms with the shorter arms. And then I keep these longer ones just in case, like in the back that I need them, or in Elizabeth's Jeep I need them, because, you know, if you're into this Jeeping stuff, you know that those arms aren't cheap. So I'm not just going to get rid of them. You might have a use for them in the future. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know this was a fun one for me. I've been putting off this install for a long time. When I first bought the Vector E-Dock for the Gladiator, the reason I chose the tubular version was I thought it'd be more versatile because I can mount anything to it. I can make clamp arms for them. I can do a lot of stuff because it's a tube. It's really simple. But at the time they just came out with the Contour, I wasn't sure how I felt about it, how I liked it. So I went with the regular E-Dock, and now, you know, 3.5 years later, I've seen more of the Contours out in person and in videos, and it's just given me that itch that I really want to clean up my dash a little bit. And not that the regular Contour didn't do that. I just had a lot of stuff all around, and I think that this brings the profile lower, and just, to me, I think it's a little bit cleaner of a look. So yeah, that's that. One other quick thing that I'd like to add is that make sure, I know that when I was doing this install, I had this Vector iPad mount sitting here in front of the airbag. Make sure that your stuff is not impeding the airbags from deploying, because when the airbag deploys, this now becomes a projectile, or it's going to mess up your airbag and keep you from getting the safety and protection that you need from the airbag in case of a collision or crash. So just make sure, use your own judgment. I'm not telling you guys exactly how to do this, but just use common sense. Do not put this in any position that it's going to be harmful to you or your passengers. I'm not liable for any of this or your install. This is all on you guys. So take my word with a grain of salt. When it comes to where I've positioned this, I will move this out of the way as soon as I'm done with this install. And for those of you that are wondering, like, why do you have so much stuff in your dash? Why do you have all this stuff blocking your line of sight, your view from the windshield and the road? To me, honestly, the things that I have on my dash are not in my way. They're actually blocked by the hood when I'm driving down the road. So nothing is impeding my view of the road itself. Most people love to have some sort of suction cup, phone holder, or phone device mount on their dash. I'll tell you, when I get into other people's vehicles and I don't have a place to put my phone, especially on a long drive, it's kind of, you know, depressing, to be honest. I've been so blessed to have the phone mounts in my Jeeps that, you know, it's just really nice, because then it's there. I don't have to hold my phone. I don't have to worry about it falling or moving around, or if I just want to use it while it's up on the dash. It's really nice to have there, out of the way, and easily accessible. The other thing is I have 2 GoPro mounts. The reason I have 2 GoPro mounts is I usually place one looking forward and one back at us driving inside from the cab. The reason being is when we make videos for this channel, it's nice to have options when we're editing, you know, to have forward-facing shots and shots of us inside, because sometimes when we're doing certain obstacles, it's kind of fun to watch what happens inside the vehicle. And same with the one in the back. It's nice to be able to see a back or view from basically like the back seat, looking forward as what's going on inside the cab from the driver and the passenger. And then obviously, like I mentioned, the reason for the iPod mount is for all of our Onyx trails or on long trips. It'll be nice when we go out to Moab to be able to pull up shows on Netflix or whatever that are downloaded ahead of time. So just, that's why we love having the iPad over there when we're doing those specific things. And then obviously the passenger side has a phone mount for the passenger. That's why we have all this stuff up here. I don't want any extra clutter up here. I have removed things that have been up here before, so this is as simple as we can make it for what we use, and we use this stuff all the time. All right, guys. Sorry for that quick little note, but I just wanted to let you know before I sign out of here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And we thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. See ya.